Okay, one of the things I love about Amped is its smart design. It is designed to nudge the users in the direction they should be going for greater levels of effectiveness. So some ways that it does that. So there's a couple different types of users. The most important user, in my opinion, is the sales producer, because they're the ones, they're in the front lines in the trenches of closing deals. And so what's beautiful about Amped is when they log in, this is the screen they see. They see their active deals. What are they working on right now and nothing else? If they've snoozed it to a future date, if they don't need to call them back till next Friday, or they didn't close it, so they don't want to visit it until maybe 6 months from now or 12 months from now, it's in the snooze section. If they've closed it, it's in the bounce section. There's no reports to run, nothing. They just log in, bam, that's what they need to be working on. And then they'll see here under next action, it tells them, hey, you've got something overdue, Bubba. You need to get on this guy and get calling on it. If it's green, it's saying, okay, you need to work on this today. Yellow means, okay, you don't have a next action scheduled for this guy. What are you doing? And so very easy to see what they're working on. They can easily see where they're at in the pipeline stages. Each one of these sections is where those deals are sitting. They can see how many they have sitting there. They can see how much premium is associated with it, and what the total amount is in the pipeline. If you're a sales manager owner, you can see this is actually showing everybody in the whole agency. This is just a sandbox, but in your agency, you would be able to see everybody. You could filter it by, of course, the user that logs in will just filter it by them, so they'll see their own deals. They're working on it. But as an owner or a sales manager, you can go in and whatever when you click on their name, you're going to see what they see. You'll see exactly what they're working on. They'll be able to see the rewrites from what they're working on there, so they can kind of see that. On the left, this is brilliant. So what their monthly goal is, that's always in front of them. It never goes away. It doesn't matter where they go in the program. That is always there. And it shows what they've written for the month. And then there's a graph to show what percentage they've gotten done. Here, through the rest of the sidebar here, that shows how many new deals they've added today, how many quotes or presentation they've done today, how many policies they've bound today. Of course, the premium associated with that will show up in there, will be added to the monthly amount. And then how many what we call handoffs have been done. So if they handed any deals off to a coworker, so this will encourage a lot of internal cross promotion. Very powerful. So they can see these numbers and they start to talk about those numbers. At the end of the day, it's like, well, geez, how many handoffs did you do? Well, this is how many I did. Well, how much did you buy today? How many policies? How many did you present? It's all the key metrics that actually matter. No running reports. It's there live all the time. And then, of course, this will show actions. It kind of helps them know what actions they need to be working on. So very, very, very smart design. Everything's really easy. It's thrown in front of them. They don't have to fetch things. They don't have to run reports, none of that. When they go into any one of these individual deals, it's simple. They can mark if it's hot or not. They can keep track of where they're at on the stages. They can make notes. They can assign actions. It's all right there. They don't have to go 4 or 5 or 6 levels deep to find where they're at. They move this deal as far as they can every day. And then once they do, just schedule the next action. They're there to go. They want to schedule, if they need help from somebody, they can schedule an action for somebody else to do to help them. So there you go. And now this will keep, the bottom line with this is, this will keep your salespeople focused in on what matters, and it gives them feedback constantly on where they're at, how they're doing. The end of every day, they're going to get, the users will also get, there's a production report mailed out to everybody. They'll be able to see how they compare to their peers, how many new deals they did that day, how many they presented that day, how many they bound that day, what the associated premium is, and then where they're at for their month to goal for that month, where they're sitting, what percentage they're at. So very huge. So let's say that you're a sales manager and you're out on the beach, you're on vacation. You don't have to log into this system to try to figure out what's going on. Just a PDF shows up in your email on your smartphone. You look at it, you see exactly what happened that day. Then at the end of the week, an email will get sent out to the agency owner and manager for every single producer that you have, there's a separate report, and that's going to show where they're at for the month, what this week's production was, what they closed on, and it's going to show what's in their pipeline. And this is a sandbox, so there's not a lot in here, but anyway, what's in their pipeline, what they've snoozed out, so what they decided they're not going to build a bind and they've snoozed out in the future, maybe 6 months, 12 months into the future, or whatever. You'll be able to look at that and have a conversation with them on some of those. What they've referred to other people, those handoffs, and then 6-month rolling production. So say they're doing really bad this month, but the last 5 months they've done awesome. Maybe you won't be quite as hard on them. But let's say they're doing good this month, but they've done bad the last 5 months. Maybe that's hey, you're turning the ship around. So that kind of gives you a bigger picture. And helps you coach them. So what's beautiful about this is, just like the agents don't have to go chase key information down, stuff that matters to them, agency owners and sales managers don't have to. Certainly you can go in here and you can look at a whole number of reports, but you don't have to. That actionable key data is getting pushed out to you with good design. Of course, there's other things in the design. I mean, you can come here to this historical pipeline is a hugely important report. This is where you can go in at any point, select say, okay, this is the current month. We want to look at last week, whatever it is. And you can see what got done, what deals went through each one of these stages. And let's say, okay, well, I want to look at, what this person did. And I'm going to click on the bound section, and I can actually see the individual deals that make that up. So very powerful. And so that's also good design. It's easy. You don't have to wait for 5-10 minutes for something to spool up and then try to make any sense of it. It's right here. It's real easy. You can look at your live pipeline, and this just shows you who's working on what, like what's actually in the pipeline right now. You can click and look at any of those things, the details. Carrier report is going to show you where you're at with each carrier. And this is very powerful. When you sit down and meet with a marketing rep or something, you can kind of give them real solid data. If you're meeting with one that you want to get an appointment with, I mean, this is very impressive to be able to say, well, gosh, we've quoted this much business that we could have placed with you, but we're not. And anyway, it gives you a lot of credibility there. You can do goals by producer. Of course, the goal. We've talked about how powerful it is to have the goals be such an integral part of the design, but you can come in here and actually compare, see how people are doing. Goals by carrier, make sure you're hitting all of your contingencies. Snooze report, see what's not being bound and find out why, try to identify patterns. There's tags. You can tag different agencies. You can set up different tags and see patterns that way. So you might say, well, we have gold, silver, bronze clients, and you can kind of start to track some of that. Anyway, so point is the design is around not just giving you a tool to use to work, but it's about having the design nudge people to do the behaviors they ought to be that they should be doing. So I've said this in other areas, but as an agency owner, if you're an agency owner or a sales manager, just get your people to put their deals in the system when they run across them, and everything else is going to start to naturally happen. The design is smart, because if you do that, then in the morning, if they start putting all of their deals into Amped, or when they put all the deals into Amped, I should say, then the next morning when they come in and say, what should I work on? If they know they're all in Amped, they're not going to sit there and shuffle through stuff on their desk. They're just going to open this up and start using it. Well, if they open it up and start using it, now they're going to see their goal. They're going to see how many new deals. They're going to see these. It's almost, you can kind of call it gamification, I guess. They see all these key metrics on how they are doing, and it brings a lot of clarity to how they want to spend their day. And it saves them, I would say, at least 2 hours a day from the average agent that doesn't have a good system to keep track of their deals. If they go from that to this, it saves a huge amount of time. So anyway, that's just kind of a little bit of an overview of the smart design behind Amped.